Well, shall we get started? I guess we shall. Okay. So I'm going to talk about hosting your own community LAN party. Why am I talking about this? Because I have done, or last year, my friend and I, he's sitting over there, we coordinated 2 of them, and we kind of think we have an idea of what we're doing. So we thought I thought I would share what we did and kind of give other people some ideas and things to think about for their own. So who am I? That's kind of important. I am Brandon. Hi. And let's see here. I got a new pointy thing, so this is kind of fun. I'm an IT guy by day and also went into marketing, which is kind of a weird mix. I don't have any background in it, but work said let's do marketing, so okay. And I am a nerdy geek, not to be confused with a geeky nerd, because geeks are passionate and nerds are intellectual, and I'm working on the intellect part. So that's kind of the gist there. So every good presentation, not really, but this one is going to start with a video because they're fun and exciting. And I'm going to talk over it too.
So it's an MST3K kind of thing.
Exactly, see?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that works for me.
Alright, I was going to hook it into the speakers, but it's not that important, so
Your shadow heads?
I will play it from my laptop, even though that's crappy too. I'm going to talk over it, so there we go. Oh, that's rude. Okay, so this is a time-lapse video of our last LAN party in November. And basically what we've got going on here is I wanted to show how we started out kind of doing some table spacing. We put ambient lights up, our Christmas lights, tons of power cords, our extension cords. Let's see, what else? Oh, the projector screens. Okay, so we ran 2 projectors, one in the front, and we put the other screen back here. We set up surge protectors on all the tables. Over there, oh, it does work. That is our admin stage area, so all our servers are set up there. We've also got this front room out here, which is just tables for like chaperones or other guests. They can just sit, or if they want to eat, away from their computers. So then we kind of jump into the LAN party here. And the next thing is when we do contests and prizes, we drag everyone up on the stage, and we actually turn the lights on up there to take pictures of them. See up there. I cut this video way down. It was 8 minutes, so it's only a couple now. So we covered the windows so that it doesn't let a lot of light in. We just got some black plastic, painter's plastic. So then come 9 to 10 p.m. everyone's like, okay, we're going home, so they all start leaving. And then we get to clean up, which is always the dreaded part, because you just put all this energy into setting up, running the event, and it's like, okay, we're done. Nope, not done. We gotta clean. So some of our friends, we hung out there until like 4 a.m. that day. We started setup at 9 a.m. in the morning, so it was a long day for us. We all went home, and then this is the next day we started tearing down. If you can get into your space for more than one day, your life will be significantly easier. I had to show the rat's nest of tables we had here. Believe it or not, that's only 16 extension cords. But 1,600-foot extension cords adds up quite a bit.
Oh, that's going to be a quarter mile.
Yes. I added up all the Ethernet cables, all the extension cords, and I didn't quite hit a mile, but I'm getting there. We've got a lot of tubs out here. Kind of helps keep things organized. And it took 2 or 3 trips with a big van to get all the equipment out of there. So also at the end of our video, we always thank our helpers. We had a power outage, so people brought generators in, and we gotta thank the building that let us in there, and then everyone who attended. So I do a time lapse just because I like the time lapses, and this is on our YouTube channel, so that was an abridged version of the time lapse from our last event. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time today kind of going over what I just showed you in more detail. So let's meet you real quick. Who has been to a LAN party before? Just raise your hand. Okay. Who has been to Intel's Infernalan by chance? They do that out in DuPont. Just you. Okay. Oh, I should raise my hand. All right. I had to ask because that's kind of where we got our inspiration for this. Who's hosted a house LAN party of like 5 to 10 people? Okay, a few people. Anyone done a garage size with more people? Okay, we got a couple. Stop raising your hand. And okay, so anyone done more than 20 people? All right. So we've got a little bit of varied experience in here. We're going to make up some terms now. Doing research, Bryce and I did a ton of research before we did the first LAN party because that's what you do. We wanted to be sure we were prepared. So in that research, we kind of got a general idea for some generic sizes. So a small LAN party is generally about under 15 people. A medium is 15 to 35-ish. What they started considering them large at 35 to 100. And then from there, huge is 100 or more. There's even some, mostly overseas from what I gathered, but there's like 20,000 attendees over like a week. It's just insane. There's more information on Wikipedia. I don't have the specifics, but
it's not a LAN party, that's a conference.
It's insane. They do so many contests and things, but yeah, it's nuts. So these are kind of the terms we found. Our LAN parties were between 20 and 35 people. So we haven't quite hit the large scale, but we're at the top of the medium. Pretty much anything 30 to 40 is in that weird gap, so we like to be outsiders. It's awesome. So the next important thing is framework. And this is kind of the tech of the LAN party. And this includes things like the power requirements, the power distribution, networking equipment, our venue selection, and the servers. So I kind of lump this into the framework section. So first we'll talk about the power requirements. But before you can learn about power requirements, we'll do first a quick little lesson here, probably more in-depth than you expected, but it's kind of important when planning for things like this. So we'll start off with household circuits. Typical circuits in a household are 15 amps, and you can also have 20 amp circuits in houses. Mostly those are in your kitchen or utility rooms, but those are the common.
You know how to tell them apart?
It's not always by the shape of the plug.
Usually
it should be, but not always.
If it's like this, it better be a 20 amp.
You'd hope. But then there's those home people who pretend they. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, these, like he was saying, you can tell are 20 amp or should be because they have the little sideways notch in them. So that's kind of what you'll find in your house. So what is an amp, you say? Well, we'll give you an even deeper lesson real quick. I'm not an electrician, so don't quote. Well,
I can help.
You can help. So this is what I've learned. So current to a house is about 110 volts, and we've all kind of heard that number, 110, 220. These are the two currents coming into your house. Okay, amps, typically at home we've got 15 or 20. Other things like dryers, electric heaters, those use more amps. 30. Okay. So watts is current times amps. So on a 15 amp circuit, you've got about 1600 watts, and on a 20 amp circuit, you've got about 2000 watts of usage. And watts is a number that I recognize more easily, and most electronics have a wattage rating. So
you know you should derate that by 20% for each extension cord in line, right?
I'll get there. Okay. So common items wattage. A 60 watt light bulb is 60 watts. Duh. So a refrigerator running. Now, where did I pull these numbers from? I actually put a link here. Honda generators, their sizing requirements. 200 watts seems kind of low for a refrigerator, in my opinion. But I figure the Honda generator is trying to oversell the wattage, so you buy a bigger generator. So these are probably not the worst numbers to go with. An electric heater, the little kind that have the little fan in them, typically around 1500 watts. Computers, they say 600 to 1000 watts. That's basically, in my opinion, a lie, because that is the max output. So if you have a 600 watt power supply or a 1,000 watt power supply, that's the max output of that power supply.
Yes,
and it's
going to pull more in than it puts out.
True, but you don't typically run at 600 to 1,000 watts real world usage.
During LAN gaming, you might come close.
Well, so just note that that is the maximum output the maximum draw if you're running all 5 hard drives that can plug into it, all 2 CD-ROM drives. If you're maxing out the processor, the 4 video cards, that's what that number is for. That's the maximum output of that power supply if you're maxing it out. Real world, my stuff, I have not the most accurate thing, but it's a little device. It's called a kilowatt. Plug it in, you plug your device into it, and it tells you the wattage and the amperage that's being pulled through that circuit. So this laptop, I put the presentation up, I ran 2 screens, or actually, sorry, when I was charging it with this off, it was pulling about 40 watts, and that was, when it was charging it full, it kind of went down from there. I put the presentation up kind of in the same exact setup I'm doing right now, and this laptop was pulling about 100 watts. And this is a gaming laptop. It's 2 years old, so it's not as fast as current things, but it's older, so it's less energy efficient, so maybe it balances out barely. I ran Skyrim on here, if any of you are familiar with that, big 3D game, to see what this would pull. Again, I still had the dual monitors up. This laptop was pulling about 150 watts while running that intensive game on 2 screens. My desktop, so I have 3 24-inch monitors, a 5.1 surround system, a fairly decent desktop with 4 hard drives, speakers, monitors, desktop. So all of that together, I ran Minecraft 3 times, so 1 on each screen. I tried to get it to pull as much energy as I could. I turned the volume way up, played really loud music. Doing that with my desktop, I got it to push 300, peaking at about 350 watts. So why am I going into all this detail? Because if I'm pulling that much energy doing all that, that kind of gives me an idea of how many I can put on a circuit. So that's kind of the little overview of electricity. So we'll get back to power requirements. I'm sorry I'm talking fast. There's a ton to cover, and I'm a little worried about time. All right.
If you run into lunch a little bit, I don't think anybody's going to complain.
I know, but it is food.
There'll still be food.
Okay, so power requirements. What do we got? Best practices. So from what I gathered, the best practices on power requirements from the research is you want to assume about 3 amps per computer. And that's for 1 monitor, 1 desktop, no speakers. And this is at a LAN party environment. You assume about 3 amps. And by our math, that's about 330 watts. You don't want to exceed 80% capacity of circuits, especially if you're running extension cords. And it's kind of like if you equate it to a car can go 10,000 RPMs, let's say, but you don't want to maintain that because it's not designed to maintain max load. You want to maintain a lower, you don't want to get that high. Especially with electrical things, when you're running too high of a loads, things can get hot, and that's where you can run into fire hazards. So by our math, you want to stick to about 6 computers per 20 amp circuit, and that's really playing it safe. What is my experience? I have a loft where I bring people over, entertain. I hold my home LAN parties there. I've got a 20 amp circuit in there. I've easily had 8 to 10 computers in there. I've been running the AC, lighting, music now. People have laptops, some people have desktops. For a LAN party, would I do that? No, but I've done that and we haven't tripped the breaker yet. Like I said, laptops use less, so you can kind of squeeze a few more in. And the 3 amp per computer number, I'm pretty sure where I was getting that from was LAN parties that were using CRT monitors still. I haven't seen a CRT monitor at a LAN party in a long time. People do it, but it's been a while. So LCD screens and the newer LED screens use even less energy. So you're kind of saving on that. All right, so power distribution. Well, now we know what our power requirements are. How are we going to get it from there to the end users? your main power source. I like this little picture I found. So you've got breaker panels.
Scary.
You just grab it and shake it. It's like fireworks. See? Okay. So you can get power directly from.
It's done.
You go directly to your breaker panel. You can get some power there. Utility outlets. What I'm referring to there is dryer outlets, welding. If you're in a place that has outlets for electric welders.
Unplug your stove.
Unplug your stove. See, there's a good place. You got a kitchen LAN party. It's right next to the fridge. Ooh, I like that. All right. And sometimes in commercial buildings, you'll find the twist lock outlets. Those are generally 30 amps onwards, 50 amps are the typical things you're going to find.
You can get twist lock 20s.
True, you can get twist lock 20s.
And you need to know whether you're dealing with an L5 or an L6.
So that leads
really
into
matters.
this line, licensed electricians. If you're messing with electricity, make sure your electricians are licensed. I'm pretty certain it's illegal to do most any electrical work. You can replace a couple outlets or things, I think, like that. But if you're running things, licensed electricians, especially for...
You can do your own work on your own property without a license.
Can you?
Entirely, yeah.
Oh.
I do my own work at home all the time.
All right. Well, I'm not advocating doing your own electricity. Know what you're doing.
Yeah. You should know what you're doing if you're going to do it.
Yes. So those are kind of some places you can get powers. If you are using utility outlets, you'll need adapters to get from, if it's 220, you'll definitely need to get down to 120, 110, and you'll need to get down to our standard outlets. So extension cords. You want to make sure wherever your power source is, you've got extension cords to get out to your users. You don't want them bringing their own extension cords. Use a lower gauge. Lower gauge is always better. If you're running 100 feet, I don't think you wouldn't want to go any higher than 12 gauge. It's kind of like golf. Lower numbers are bigger. Finding 10 gauge extension cords is really hard. Well, they're really expensive. So we run 12 gauge extension cords just because, so think of that.
12's fine for 20 amp.
12's good. And power strips. So ideally, you don't want to daisy chain extension cords. You definitely don't want to daisy chain power strips. The reason for that is power strips are not designed to have that big of a load on them. They're generally rated for smaller amperage, which we've learned about. So you want to go straight from your, not that, straight from your power source, one extension cord, one power strip. We've got 6 ports. Each attendee gets 2 ports, so that's 3 computers per extension cord. 2 extension cords per breaker. That gives us 6 computers per 20 amp breaker. That's kind of how we do it. So, networking lesson, practical. So I just wanted to cover some networking speeds real quick. Speed. So a 10100 is what I would still say is the most common network you're going to run to in a home environment. It's just what we kind of started with when we started doing networking, and it's what most people have and run. My practical experience is you get about 9 megabytes a second. If you don't know what a megabyte is, typical MP3.
Megabits a second.
Megabytes.
Not if you're on the 10 side of that 10100.
Well, okay. The 100 side. I
It's
used
going to be more like 1.25 megabytes a second.
Right,
Yes.
Which is about 9 megabits.
So
Yeah.
I apologize if my capitalization is wrong. I did not look and check. I know there's the MIB if you want to do it that way, and so I'm talking about megabytes here. 9 megabytes a second. A typical MP3 is about 3 megabytes. So on a 10100 network, you can get 3 MP3s per second over that network. Did I put that in here? No. Okay, real quick. It was hard to find. I tried to look up the bandwidth of games, but from what I could find and through some testing of my own, games usually run about 30 kilobytes to 200 kilobytes per second when you're streaming or playing any server-based games. And a kilobyte, there's 1,000 of those in a megabyte. So from that, you can see you can get quite a few online games through a link of that size. All right, gigabit is what is typical now, if you will. They really don't make computers that don't have gigabit anymore. They do, but they don't. So my practical experience is you get about 80 megabytes a second over gigabit. That's if you have decent hardware on each side. If you're running enterprise grade hardware, yeah, you can get those numbers higher. Typically, I see about 80 megabytes a second. Wireless G, if you have a good signal and you're the only one using it, on average, I see about 2 megabytes per second. If more than one person's using that wireless signal at once,
Divide it in half.
at least.
At least.
Worse.
At least. So you can see how slow that is. Again, like 10100, wireless G is probably what's in most homes right now. Wireless N is the current standard. Oh, see, I didn't. Okay.
You've got two wireless ends you need to worry about.
True. There's the 5
There's
and
wireless N 2.4, which will get you the 6 megabytes, and there's wireless N 5 gigahertz, where you can get closer to 12,
closer
24.
to 12. Okay. So, as you can see, wireless basically is a lot slower than wired. And I did megabits, which is what internet connections are rated in, versus megabytes. A megabit on average, I think it's technically 124 kilobytes per second, but a 10 megabit internet connection is about 1 megabyte per second.
I should also mention that it's not so much the amount of bandwidth. I mean, if you have lots of users, that's a concern, but it's more about the latency. Latency is what plays the biggest factor when it comes to networking stuff like this, and
Definitely.
wireless does not help that at all.
No, wireless is not good for that. Yeah, because when you're doing games, you need to make sure that data isn't delayed getting there.
And actually, if you get the current standard, which is wireless AC,
Yes.
you can actually do a lot better.
You know, I didn't do any reading on that, and he mentioned it last night. He's like, well, AC's out. And I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. So, this is what I know. This is what I'm talking about.
Whatever.
Whatever. All
I
right.
don't see LTE up there.
You know, okay, so 4G, no. All right, networking equipment.
It's just no. It's just no.
Okay.
LTE actually can be decent.
Well, we're doing okay on
Speeds,
time.
yes, but latency, no.
Okay, networking equipment. Does anybody not know what a networking switch is?
I think I'd have
So
to give back my CCIE.
I can.
Yes.
You don't know what a network switch is. Okay, good. So, a networking switch, I did not bring one, is basically the splitter that your network cables plug into. So, it's, for lack of a technical term, it's a splitter. And you plug your network cables into the switch. Typical ones you'll see at home are 8-port switches. In the enterprise, they go up a lot more than 8. So, when you're doing a LAN party, you want to make sure you have a good backbone switch. And that's the switch that is the center part of your network, kind of like your spine, the backbone. So this is actually the switch we run. It's not a managed switch, which means we can't do any configuration on it. It's literally a dumb splitter, smarter than a hub.
Safer.
Yeah, really.
So we run 16 ports. We're a small, or we only need the 16 port one. So this switch, we plug in all of our switches that go off to our players. We also plug our servers directly into this. We plug our administration workstations directly into this. And we plug the internet through its security device directly into this. So that's the backbone. We'd like to upgrade to...
That's what I keep forgetting.
We'd like to upgrade this to a managed switch, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So for the player connection port, again, this is what we have. It's the equipment we had access to. These are 24-port 10100 switches. So we have 3 pods, each have 14 players. So we put one of these in each pod, and we run a single 10100, or we run a single link back to our gigabit switch, but it only runs at 10100 because these don't have gigabit ports on them. The reason I wanted to upgrade to a managed switch at the backbone is because you can do what's called port bonding, and we can run more than one cable to each of these switches, and it doesn't double your bandwidth per user, but it does double the amount of data you can move between the 2 switches through separate devices. I won't get any more technical than that, but getting a managed backbone switch and running 2 cables here, even though it's slower than this being gigabit, it's cheaper than buying 3 gigabit
It's
switches.
actually more like 1.6x, by the way.
So how many players do you put per one of these switches?
We haven't maxed it, but we're set up to do 14.
The switch,
Per
the,
switch
the
here.
switch can more than handle having all the ports populated.
Yeah.
It's a high enough switch.
We haven't had any issues with it because, again, this can do at 10100 the 9 megabytes a second, and each game's maybe 200 KB a second, so it's going to be really hard to fill that pipe. Our internet connection's not large enough to fill that pipe. The only way we're going to fill that pipe is if someone from here starts doing a data transfer from our server or to someone on another pod.
Okay.
That's really the only way we're going to get into bandwidth issues. So far, it hasn't been a problem. Cables, cables, cables. This is actually a picture of what I have. And yes, I have the rainbow. And I got this for the LAN party. The reason I got all the colors is if I've got 3 cables running on the floor here, I can run 3 different colors. And when I'm at that end, I don't have to try and trace it down the line. I can say it's the red one. That's why I got the different colors. I got the different lengths, 100 foot, 50 foot, 35 foot, and 25 foot. This is excessive, but it was kind of neat, and I got the cool picture out of it. This is a standard 8-port switch, so each one of these black dots is that big. Oh, push button. Is about that big, so you can kind of get a size for this is a large pile of cable.
It's a lot of cable.
It is a lot of cable.
So something you might want to consider when you've got that many cables to manage, there's a company called Brady that makes a labeler.
Oh, yes.
That will print self-laminating wraparound labels.
Yes, I have a brother one.
And if you print, well, the brothers usually don't print the self-laminating labels. They usually only print the linear tape labels.
Okay.
These are actual cable labels that come out with the whatever your label is printed, and then it's got a tail of clear.
Okay.
And you wrap it around and around and around the
That's
cable.
cool.
And so what you end up with is a very robust, no flaggy
Gotcha.
cable label. And if you put the same serial number at both ends of the cable, with a dash and then a length suffix indicating how long the cable is,
nice.
it can make it very, very easy to find the opposite end of the cable.
Definitely. What I've done, because I didn't have something awesome like that, and my friends, trying to yell a serial number across the room to my friends, probably, what? Okay, so I used different colored tape, and each different length has a different color of tape on it. So yes, if I have 2 cables of the same color and the same length, it's going to be the same piece of tape. But with that many different colors, hopefully I can not run the 2 similar colors next to each other. So cables, cables, cables. You need to get cables everywhere and far away. Last note on cables, we have our servers set up here and our workstations set up here. So that's 5 feet apart. We wanted to not run the cables right here, so we ran them along the table, along the wall, and behind us. A 30-foot cable barely made it, which is ridiculous. It's like, seriously? So it's hard to go too long with cables. You do have rolls sitting in places, but so it's hard to go too long. All right, internet router gateway. This is a typical old-style Linksys home router. This is not what you should use at a LAN party, but this is what a lot of people have seen. So it does many things. I'm not going to get into the technical part of DNS, DHCP, and the firewall, port forwarding. Anyway, so internet router gateway. So I have custom software on my gateway,
You're doing that.
and on my gateway, with that custom software, it says this thing can handle 2,000 connections. Again, that's the max number, and it's going to really chug if you get to 2,000 connections.
Or even one.
Well, or even one. Now, 2,000 connections sounds like a lot. I looked at my usage when I was writing this presentation. I had Skype up, a couple Google Docs, and I think I was uploading a file. Doing those few tasks, I was using 250 of those 2,000 connections.
Well, the 2 Google Docs is 30 by itself.
Precisely. So 2,000 connections sounds like a lot, but if each device is using 10% of that, maxing this out would be 10 computers using the internet. And at home, that's fine. At a LAN party, that's not okay. So we use a server, which I'll touch on a little later, instead of a hardware device. And server, it was a little cheaper for us. Wireless access point, so we actually have one of these. I looked last night, Monoprice doesn't have this model up anymore. It's kind of a bummer, I just bought it a few months ago. This is just a wireless access point. It's not a router. It's only got one Ethernet port on the back. And we provide wireless to people to use for their mobile devices if they would like to, or for parents or chaperones if they want to sit out in the other room and connect. They can do some things on the internet. Not a necessity, but something we do.
Gaming over wireless, not recommended.
Gaming over wireless, not recommended. We have big disclaimers that say no gaming over the wireless, and we don't give you the credentials until you connect over the wired network anyway. So it's an option. That's what we do. Venue selection. So now that we've talked about power, networking, whatever else we just talked about, you can kind of go over the venue. So, does the venue have what you need power-wise? And I want to step back real quick. Your access to resources is really what's going to determine the size of your LAN party. If you've only got one 16-port switch, you're going to be limited to about 14 people on your LAN party. If you've got more switches, you're going to be able to go from there. If you've got extension cords, if you've got all the other framework, wow. Basically, your access to equipment is going to determine the maximum number of people you can have. So from there, you can kind of get an idea, oh, I'm going to be able to hold 30 people, 50 people. So does the venue you want have the power outlets and circuits available for you to give that much power to people?
This is where vendor evals can be very handy.
Does the venue have the networking needs? So if you're going to have 30 people on the internet, is their internet fast enough? Is it reliable enough? Is it business class? Is it residential class? The venue we use has a bottom tier Comcast business connection. It works for us. We haven't had an issue with it. Our last LAN party, we did bump it up to the second tier, which I think was 75 megabits down and 20 or 15 up. We didn't use it, but we planned for that just in case. It did cost us an extra $100 though to get them to bump it up for a month like that. So those are kind of some things. Are they willing to make exceptions for you? Are you brave and going to bring a 4G MiFi and try and run your LAN party over that? Maybe. Capacity. I put that line on there and I was trying to remember what I meant by that. What I will say on that is most buildings have a maximum occupants sign on it. It's unlikely you're going to come anywhere near that because you're going to have tables and chairs set up, and that's generally for people standing or set up like this where it's just chairs. So be aware that there are maximum occupancy things or ratings.
Even if it's a dining maximum occupancy, computers take more room than plates.
Precisely. So it's unlikely you'll hit it, but I thought I would note it. Okay, so in your venue selection, if this was our venue, where would I put my check-in? I'd have to put it at the door, and that's taking up room. So do I have room for check-in? If I'm controlling access to the event, is there a way I can not have people get in through the window or some other door? Just kind of plan where you're going to put these things. Player seating. Obviously, this is kind of the key thing. You need room for the players to sit. Do you want teams separated between rooms? Are you going to do different floors? You're pretty big LAN party. I want to come to it if you do that, but make sure there's room for all the player seating. We do tables, this one about 6 feet wide, and they're a little deeper than this, and we put 2 people at each one of those tables.
Make sure you've got chairs that are appropriate for the duration.
And yes, seating. Seating is very important. Okay, so yeah, player seating. Make sure your chair, like you said, can handle being sat in for 10 hours or so, because if you have a hard plastic chair, people don't want to sit in that for 10 hours. Admin NOC, Network Operations Center. That's where we set up all the servers, we control everything. We have a stage at our venue that we sit on, but make sure there's room for you to have the servers, or you kind of know where you're going to put that. A stage. Do you want to make presentations or announcements from a stage? Right now you're all sitting and I'm standing on the floor you're sitting on, and you can see me pretty well, so you might not need a stage. Maybe you don't want to talk in front of people too much, but if you're doing prizes, contests, and awards, it might be nice to have. If you're doing concessions, which I would recommend having concessions at something that's running more than many hours, is there room for you to put your concessions? And if you're cooking, do they have a kitchen? More on that a little bit later. Restrooms, they're pretty important. Make sure there's enough of them and they're close by, and your players know where they are.
And enough supplies.
And enough supplies. Toilet paper is important. Paper towels, not so much, but yes.
I thought the LAN parties are supposed to have a porta potty chair.
Porta potty chair. Well, see if you bring your little. Okay. Tables and chairs. Does the venue provide tables and chairs? Are they adequate? Do you need to bring them in? Are there enough of them? How hard are they going to be to get from where they're stored to where you need them? So those are things to keep in mind. We use. Okay, so our LAN party has 42 seats, 4 players, and that's 21 tables. And the way we set it up is 3 pods of 7. It works out really great. They're in a horseshoe shape. Make sure there's room for aisles in between them, because people, they don't sit right at their desk. They kind of slouch, sit back. I guess if you're an intense gamer, you're not. But some people slouch and sit back, so make sure there's room between the chairs. And if you're back to back, that there's still an aisleway. But venue selection, make sure that they provide them or you know where you're going to get them from. A PA system, so personal announcement, speaker, and microphone. If they have one, do you want one? I'm not using one right now. I think you can hear me. If you're in a larger room and people are gaming, you might have to yell like this. The next event's coming up, but do they have a PA? If they do have a PA, is the microphone wired or wireless? If it's wired, where is it going to connect to? Is that going to change where your stage area is or your knock? Make sure you know these things and you plan for them.
I should mention, depending on like what game you're playing, you could use like in-game chat or something to notify people as well.
True. If you've got the facilities to do in-game chat, and everyone remembers their headphones.
Or text.
Or text, true.
Text. Or whatever.
If you're only trying to notify players.
That's true.
So we like PA. And a projector. Do you need a projector? Do you want a projector? Are you going to do any presentations? The large LAN party we went to, they did not have a projector. They didn't need it. It worked fine for them. We're media nerds, geeks, so we like projectors. So you don't need one, but keep in mind if you want one, does the venue have it? Will they let you use it? Does it cost more? Just those are your thought points. Okay, servers. How am I doing? Oh my goodness, I'm getting close on time. Not really, but kind of. All right, servers. Game servers.
Servers there, by the way.
Huh?
High quality servers there.
This
by the way.
is your Podunk awesome LAN party pictures from our LAN party. This is our server rack. Game servers. Your game servers are your most important thing. This is hardware and software. I didn't bring the tech specs of these servers. They're not the greatest things in the world, but they're not the slowest things. They've got 4 and 8 gigs of RAM in them, so not the best things in the world, but we ran 2 Minecraft worlds on each. We had about 25 people in a world at a time. Didn't seem to be an issue. Make sure you have the hardware. We ran Ubuntu server on ours, just because that's what I'm happy with. We also ran an intranet website on our servers. And the intranet is just the website that's accessible to the players at the LAN party. It's not an internet website. On ours, we had the schedule of events. We listed, we had the Wi-Fi access information. We had admin information, kind of who the admins were. The schedule. We had a concessions tab that listed what was at our concession stand and the prices. We had a contest tab that listed all the contests and the prizes. We also had the rules up there, and I did a web chat thing that no one used, but it was there if people wanted to use it. A file server. If you're hosting free games or games that can be downloaded, maybe you want to pre-download the installer and host it on a file server. We haven't used a file server yet. We've kind of let people say, hey, get the games ready, come to the LAN party. Hasn't been an issue for us. You can do a network share if you want. You can host it on your intranet. These 3 things, game server, intranet, and file server, can all be done off the same computer if you want. There's no reason they can't, depending on how beefy the computer is and how demanding your game is.
I would say if you have a really big LAN party, have the game server be dedicated, and then have a separate server that's not quite as beefy running your intranet and file server.
Definitely.
Yeah, one reason you want to be prepared with a file server is there's always that time that your LAN party day happens to coincide with patch day.
Of course.
Yeah.
that's what your server name, I can't remember, is for. Proxy cache server. Okay. Web filter. We run pfSense. The reason I ran it is because it was free, easy. It's Linux. It's just a distribution you install, and it has, I'm not even going to list all the things, but it has squid proxy, firewall, bandwidth throttling, web cache. So this thing does security. It also lets us do web filtering, so people can't go to websites they shouldn't be going to. It also limits access to websites, malicious websites, and then it does caching. So if one person goes to msn.com and sees 10 pictures, this server downloads that and holds that. So the next person who goes to msn.com gets those pictures from here and is not using our internet bandwidth. Patch day helps with some of that stuff because the patches get stuck here. First person downloads them, goes there. Next people who download them, they're not going out to our internet connection.
Only if the patches are not being distributed through torrent pipe.
Right, yeah. If it's there are exceptions to that, but it can help. The other thing we have this for, we haven't needed it yet, but if our bandwidth becomes an issue, we can block things like YouTube, Pandora, Twitch TV, the big heavy network streaming things, Netflix. We haven't needed to do that, but I've had it set up and ready to go. The final thing that this can do that I like is it does bandwidth throttling, so I can say each computer can only use this much of my internet connection at max. And that says that at least means I've got 20 fair chunks of internet for people to use. So a web filter is great. It's better than that Linksys or D-Link or Netgear little home router that you've got. A display system. Is there more? Okay, display system. So, going down, these are our two game servers. This is our web filter, and this is just a desktop computer that we use as our display system. So we run a projector. If I've got my laptop here and I'm trying to do administration things on here, I don't want that on the projector. So I've got a dedicated computer that can play a slideshow, that can show a map or list the web page of contests. And that way, that dedicated computer is what's being on the display.
It might be also be better to use your display system as the same one as the game server, especially if you're running a GUI on the game server, because then you could show like a spectator view or something.
True.
I did that at a LAN party, so.
That's the other thing your display system can do is, well, actually I'll get to that in a little bit. So the other thing we use the display system for is our jukebox. We play music over the PA very quietly, but that way there's at least noise in the room that's somewhat pleasant, and I like to listen to it. So that plays our music and does our display. UPS, uninterruptible power supply, commonly referred to as a battery backup. Power can go out, yes. I'll tell you that story later. But sometimes people trip or breakers blow, whatever. It's nice. This is the one I got. It's like 120 bucks. It gives our server rack about 5 minutes of runtime. That's not a whole lot, but if you trip on a cable, this beeps really loud, and that gives me time to run and plug it back in. And it saved me when the power went out. Fortunately, anyway. So think about that. If you have the funds, resources, not a bad idea. Okay, next. We will talk about the party aspect of it because we just did the framework. 145. I'm on slide 15 of 31, so if you're going to go to lunch, I do apologize, but I'm going to go as fast as I can. The party. This is things like media, marketing, games, events, concessions, and finances. Okay, so first we'll talk about media. The PA system, we've kind of already touched on it. We use it for announcing the events, saying when dinner's ready, congratulating winners, telling people to sit down and shut up, and playing music. Bryce is demonstrating the PA system. We've got a wireless microphone, and you can see a speaker in the back. Okay, projector. I mentioned earlier that we're media heavy. So we've got a small projector up front on the stage, a 42-inch TV. We kind of just have a slideshow running here, which is general event information, talks about concessions. It doesn't hurt to sell your concessions or market them during the event. People look up, oh, pizza, go buy pizza.
I'm going to make a small suggestion on your PA system.
All right.
If you put your speakers in front of where the guy with the microphone is usually standing,
Yes.
you are much less likely to get feedback.
Yes. Watch for feedback. I'm a hobbyist DJ, so I have equipment that suppresses feedback, and I'm monitoring the soundboard behind me. But yes, do not hold a wireless or wired or any type of microphone in front of the speaker or walk in front of it with it, because that makes the lovely squealing noise. But it's great if you're trying to get everyone's attention really fast. So sometimes there are uses.
Go deaf.
True. What?
Yeah.
Okay. So we run a projector. We run slideshows, information. Oh, what kind of information do we show on the projector? We have a slideshow and then information. We ran dual projectors last time, so because our seating was a horseshoe shaped, some people were facing this way and other people were facing this way. During our first event, the people facing this way were going like this a lot of the time. That's not great when you're playing a game.
Well, it's good for their opponents.
It is great for their opponents. So we ran 2 projectors so everyone could see. The little display TV, no one could see it. And I like my little glowy light thing that just changes colors because it's fun. So what do we put on the projectors? Contests, prizes, food, concessions, maps of the game. So we did a Minecraft LAN party. We had a live map up there so people could see where they were, what the terrain around them looked like, where their friends were. Follow cams are great. Again, Minecraft or competitions or any other game, if you can do a follow cam or have an admin logged into that game, you can run around, follow people around. Yes?
Isn't the game then LAN Party? Like,
pretty much. It's a basic LAN party. There's not very much structure, but down the hall that way, or over there.
Yeah, down and around.
Down and around. I went there. It's actually a lot of fun. They're running a Linux distro with just a bunch of games on it, and they're all networked together. And it's basically kind of set up the way we're talking about, and they can just go and play games with each other and have fun. Check it out if you have time. So follow cams, you can run follow cams and follow people around, especially if you're doing tournaments. We did that during deathmatch, once they hit they were taking too long, and it's like, well, these players aren't close enough together, so we'd log in, fly up to them, and give everyone their location, basically. And it's like, hey, they're here. So that's kind of how we got through the events once they started dragging a little bit. So things like that you can do with the projectors. We enjoy it. Video splitting like crazy. Okay, we've got a device that has 4 inputs and 4 outputs. So we've got my laptop, his laptop, and our media computer going into this device. And we've got 2 projector screens in the TV. So we can pick which one of those inputs goes to which one of those outputs. They can all be the same, different, or any combination thereof. A lot of fun. Ask me about it later if you want. A lot of cables. Marketing. Marketing is important because if you don't tell anyone you're having a LAN party,
You don't have.
I wouldn't call it a LAN party. You'll just have a lot of wasted time or fun time if that's what you enjoy doing. So, flyers. I brought one. Has my to-do list on the back. I thought it was appropriate. I print 2 sizes. I like the half sheet size because I can hand them to people a lot easier, and if I'm posting them on notice boards, sometimes there's not room for a full page, but we also do full page flyers. You can do bigger banners if you've got somewhere to put it. Website. So Bryce and I and our friends, we have a group called the NWRL Guild. That stands for Nerds with Real Lives. That's what we are. And on our website is where we kind of host all of our information, or post all of our information for the event. So you can use your website for marketing, especially if it's getting traffic. Ours does not. Group and community mailing lists. So our group, the NWRL Guild, has its own enoil list for people who've been to past LAN parties or people interested in future LAN parties. So we send out a notice to that group. We live in the Snoqualmie Valley. There's 3 major towns in Snoqualmie Valley, and by major I mean 8,000 residents each. But they have Yahoo mailing groups, and there's about 1,000 people on each one of those mailing lists. So we send out to those community mailing lists as well. Look for resources like that. User groups, if you have user groups in the area. Facebook, so we put the event information again on Facebook. That links back to our website for registration and full details. Facebook's probably our biggest area we promote in because we have people share it, invite other people to the event. We're actually having a LAN party in 27 days. And we haven't posted the Facebook link yet. We try and do 3 weeks of advertising, and preparing for this presentation, I procrastinated on the event. So I'm going to try doing the paid marketing on Facebook, and we'll see what that does. I'm going to put like $30 in there and see if it gets any more traction. You never know. Word of mouth. In my opinion, word of mouth is your biggest and best seller. You should come to my LAN party because it's awesome and I'm having it on this date. And when they forget in an hour, you tell them again, you should come to my LAN party because it's awesome and it's on this date. Tell everybody you talk to. Even if they don't play games, tell them, hey, I'm working on this thing. And they'll be like, oh, my grandson likes that, and I'll tell him. Seriously, you tell everybody you can talk to, and make everybody you tell someone else, or at least all of your friends. And tell them if they don't, you won't be their friend anymore. But then they might kind of take that as a challenge and be happy about that. So, and newspapers. Don't discount newspapers. That's the paper thing you sometimes see in the mail. Sorry.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, actually, ours are free where I live because no one will pay for them. So they just throw them in your yards. So it's kind of awesome. There's 2 of them.
Just remember, if you're not paying, you are the product.
True. So they have event calendars, which you can usually get things into for free. Sometimes they'll do a little write-up about your event if you're really lucky. And you can pay for ad space. That's usually in the hundreds of dollars, but it's an option if you'd like. Game ideas for your event. Okay, so you don't have to feature games. You can say, hey, I'm throwing a LAN party. Come play your favorite game. You probably won't get as much attendance if you're not featuring a game. So what I recommend is you saying, hey, we're focusing on these games, or these are the games that people are going to be playing there. That way people have some reference for, oh, I like that game. I'll go play with other people I don't know. So popular games are always good. League of Legends is a very popular game, at least in the groups of people I know. I've never actually played it, but it's a popular game. Multiplayer games. So multiplayer is great because you're coming to a group LAN party. You probably don't want to sit there playing Farmville. Although you could probably make an argument that that is multiplayer. Yeah. So hostable games are great because you can host them yourself. You have a little bit more control. And when you're hosting them, they're not using your internet bandwidth. Mm-hmm. Free games are always great. The Game Den has more than a dozen free games in it. Go check it out. League of Legends is free. Open Arena's open source. That's free.
Minecraft is cheap.
Minecraft is fairly affordable, especially if your audience targets high school and middle school kids like ours ended up targeting accidentally, but it did. That's okay. We have dedicated following. Free games are great because they don't have any money. Competitive, again, that's a free game. Competitive games are great because it gives people something to say, hey, I'm better than you. Ha. And action-packed games, people like action-packed games because, well, they get bored. Farmville. No. All right, events, contests, and prizes. So let's do some more things other than say, hey, this game's awesome. Let's do some things to get people in. Contests. So things like kill count. So first person to 100 kills. Survival. Last person alive. Collection. Here's a list of things. First to get this list wins. Capture the flag. So objective-based things. King of the Hill. Things of that nature. Any of these contests can be done with a team. There's no reason you can't have a team to get to the first kill count. The team to be the last team surviving. Even if 3 of the people die and there's only 1 person left, it's still a team. Teams are great. Now in prizes, one issue we have is the item type. Do you go with, don't lynch me, game swag, or do you go with gaming gear, for instance? So do I give you an awesome Minecraft foam sword, or do I give you a gaming mouse? So we haven't really decided. We've gone on the game swag side just because we like the idea that it's themed to our contests. And if you play this game, you're good at it. Ideally, you like this game. Therefore, something related to that game is desirable to you. Okay. Cost is very important because if you're having contests, you need to pay for these prizes. And you want the first place, second place, and third place prizes to be fairly consistent across your different events, most likely. So we do $20 for first place, $12 for second place, and $8 for third place is about where we try and value our prizes, just because we're doing it out of pocket right now. We haven't gotten to sponsors or anything like that. So that's kind of one of the things we do. Watch for teams. If you've got a team game and you've got 5 people on a team, now you need 5 prizes for those different people. If you give them a foam sword, 5 people can't really share a foam sword. And if they're siblings, they kind of can share it, but that's probably even worse. So teams raise your prize cost exponentially. Be careful for that. Some other things you can do, this is more than event part of it, is trivia or jokes. Okay, so anyone who plays Minecraft, the main guy's name is Steve. How does Steve get his exercise? Anyone? No. He runs around the block. Aha, see, that was a stupid joke, but you're all a captive audience and you laughed. So you can do stupid things like that and people will kind of listen to you. Again, the PA system makes you really loud, so they have to. And trivia, we did a trivia contest. What year was the regular Nintendo released? No?
1985.
1985. How about Japan?
8. 3. I don't know.
3. Says him. So if that's wrong, blame him. You can do things like that. Here's a sticker. I don't have one, sorry.
Go get one from the expo.
There you go. Go get a sticker from the expo. So you can do things like that just to get people engaged and involved. Gag gifts. Okay, we were at Office Depot and we were looking through the bargain bin of games. Why? I don't know. We found Ice Cream Stand Tycoon for $1.50. It's like, dude, okay. Actually, I thought it looked kind of fun, but so we got that game and we did a deathmatch game, and we had first, second, and third place prizes. First person to die, we kind of embarrassed them a little bit. We called them up on stage at the end of the game. We're like, okay, and to so-and-so for being the first person to die in this competition. This game might not be up your alley, so we've got a different one for you instead. So you can do things like that unannounced, but it was kind of fun and it was all in good humor. All right, concessions. Drinks. The picture doesn't do it justice, but when you just lug that much soda into one location, it's like, hey, I own this soda. That's a lot of soda. There's like 200 drinks there. It's like, I'm not going to drink 200 cans of soda and water. So you need drinks at your concession stand. Snacks. Again, the picture doesn't do it justice, but when you were standing in that kitchen and there was food, junk food all around you, it's like, this is amazing. And it's not like a store, because this is something you own. It's like, this is my junk food. So it's different. Profit margin. Okay. For me, buying soda at sale on the grocery store has been cheaper than Costco. I can get a can of soda for about 30 to 35 cents a can. I'm selling them for $1. That's 65-cent profit. If I buy a $7 frozen pizza and I sell it for $2 a slice and I got 12 slices of pizza out of that, that's a $24 pizza. Or it's a $7 pizza I sold for $24. So profit margin, buy low, sell high, works great at these events. Overkill. Okay, this is our concession stand at our last LAN party. You do not need this many different items. How do I know? I held a LAN party and nobody bought these items. Oddly enough, Dr. Pepper was our biggest seller. Hardly anyone bought the Mountain Dew. And it's like, but it's Mountain Dew and you're gamers. Anyway, so Dr. Pepper, Coke, I might do a Sprite again and maybe a Diet Coke, but really you don't need that much variety. We've got what? 9 different drinks there, crackers. Yeah, nobody bought any of the granola bars, nobody bought the crackers. Candy was good. So do some candies, do a few sodas. Expiration dates. Candy and soda does expire, and it doesn't expire in 3 years, it expires in 4 months. I learned this because I have a big pile of soda at home that is all expired, and that means I can't sell it at my next LAN party because that violates something. Code, food laws, I don't know, but you can't do it. So don't overbuy, over prepare, because it causes problems. And it's great because now I have all this candy and soda I can drink and eat, but anyway. Food handler's permit. If you are cooking food, preparing food, you need food handler's permits in your kitchens. I have one, he's got one. They're actually really easy to get. You go to that website, foodworkercard.wa.gov, and it's about an hour-long presentation/test. You pay $10, you print it out, you have a food worker card. Great because it's easy, scary because that's what people in restaurants need to do to serve you food. And I did it in an hour. So keep that in mind. I don't know the rules on pizza you buy from delivery. So if you buy delivery pizza, it wasn't prepared on site, you might be able to sell it. But I'm not going to say that because I don't know for certain. But if you're preparing food, I know you have to have a food handler's permit. And that includes even hot dogs. If you're heating up hot dogs, sticking them on a bun and giving them to people, you have to have a food handler's permit for that. Finances, okay. Expenses. LAN parties can be expensive. You have a venue. It costs hundreds of dollars. We have a small venue that we rent out. Maximum capacity is about 100 people. There's 2 rooms, a stage, and a kitchen. It's a grange. If you've ever heard of a grange, they're all around, and usually they rent their buildings out. To rent, the building we rent is $400 for the day, plus a $500 deposit. So you're out $900 immediately just for the place. You get the $500 deposit back if you don't break anything. Equipment can be hundreds of dollars, especially if you're buying it new and you're buying high quality stuff. Craigslist and eBay may be your friends, or a lot of businesses get rid of old equipment. Sometimes you can get your hands on that, or you may already have it. Prizes. For our contests, we do 3 contests, first, second, and third place each. If we do one prize at $20, one at $12, one at $8, that's $40 a contest. That's $120 for 3 contests, just for the prizes. If there's teams, that price goes up closer to $250 to $300. So if you can get donations, prizes donated by businesses or companies, that's going to really help you. If you're not a nonprofit organization, you might not get them donated. Concessions, we bought 10 pizzas at $7.50 a piece. That's about $80. We bought soda and candy on top of that. We're at $150 just for the food. Granted, we make all that money back pretty easily because of the profit margin, but you've got to have that money up front. And marketing. Because we're doing Facebook and website, we're already paying for those things. Or we pay for the website already. Facebook's free, except this time, but we're only spending a few dollars on that to get the flyers printed. 9centcolorcopies.com is a Washington-based business, but they will ship them to you really cheap. You can get 200 of these for $17 shipped, which is pretty good. And these are full color on nice paper. That's where I found the cheapest. They keep looking at me out there, it's funny. So we usually spend around $30 on marketing. So how do you make money? Well, you've got your door tickets. This is your highest your highest income area. We have 42 seats. We sell pre-registrations at $15 a piece. If you come to the door and pay, it's $20 a piece. So if we were to sell out, $15 times 42 seats is $630. That's a decent amount of profit. Concessions is the second biggest profit you'll make because of that profit margin, but you have to make your cost back first, so kind of goes in there. Equipment rental. Okay, not everybody has a long Ethernet cable and comes prepared with one, so we rent them out for $2 a piece. We also sell them. If you want to buy one, you can buy one for $10. I buy all my cables, extension cords, network cables, pro audio cables, if you know what an XLR cable is. All of that, I go to monoprice.com.
Do you do your own Ethernet cables for really long lengths, or do you just buy them?
If I need something crazy that's not a standard, I'll make one, but I've just bought 100-foot ones, and that's usually long enough for what I need.
Okay.
Oh, should have plugged in. Okay, so I go to Monoprice for all of that. If you want to go to lunch, now's a good time, but I'm close to being done. I haven't thought about that at the beginning, too. Okay.
I was going to say, your MSI laptop. Oh, I have an MSI laptop. It's not going to last that long on battery.
No, it did not, and I know better.
That's the whole time.
Okay, I printed the old
That's
copy
true.
of this. So, where were we? Concessions.
Nice power backup.
One of the things on my presentation is backup plan. Okay, so if everyone refers to this slide here, concessions, okay, equipment rental, raffles are the other thing. You can hold, if you're a nonprofit organization, you can have raffles. I'm not going to get into the legal details because I don't know them. I've never held a raffle, but the nonprofit organizations I help with hold raffles, and they are great for income because say you've got a $30 prize, you sell 100 raffle tickets, you give away the prize, you made $70. Raffles are great. Next.
As you'll see at 3:30.
Huh?
As you'll see at 3:30.
As you will see at 3:30.
As we'll see at 3:30. They make hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. Okay. Registration. Oh, I want my slides. We're almost there. Of course. Don't put everything on my desktop, put it on the other desktop. Registration. So, what do we do for registration? We do pre-registrations online. We collect info about the gamers. I don't call them players, I call them gamers. No, I call them players, not gamers, because some people don't like the term gamer, which I don't think it's derogatory, but players. So we get the players' information, name, contact information, what contests they're interested in, so we have an idea of how many people are going to participate. And what else do we get? We get contact. That's pretty much what we get from that.
Any special details?
Any special details we need. How they heard about our event. That's big. If you put that on your registration, then you'll know what form of marketing you have is the most effective. And some people won't answer it, and that's okay. But the people who do are your very good friends.
If you want, if you want to make it painless, have it like as a multi-bullet option, and then also pick like have another option, so that way you can just click a little button and be like, yeah, I heard about it through that method.
Yes. Okay, so I skipped this part. Since we've talked about the party, these are the other thoughts. Registration. Staffing is important. Inspiration, kind of what gave us our ideas. Posted documents, rules, waivers. Make a record, not the big disky thing, but a log. A backup plan, paper. And opportunities. So we'll kind of go over what these. So registration, gamer info. At the door, we have a piece of paper. This is actually the crappy form we give them. First name, last name, birthday, so we make sure they're not underage. Gamer tag, email address. Oh, join our mailing list. Yes. And then how did you hear about us? So if they show up at the door, that's what they get. If they register online, this is our registration form. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but first name, last name, birthday, gamer tag, email, join the mailing list, phone number, what seat they want. This is for pre-registrations. Public, can we show your username as registered for our event on our website? Not real name, just username, gamer tag. Tournament interest. Which tournament are you interested in? It doesn't sign you up for it, but gives us an idea how many people are coming for that. If they're planning to bring guests, that way we can plan for food. How they heard about us. If they have a promo code, we give it out to our helpers so they don't have to pay for registration or whatever. And sign up. Incentives. So you want people to register as early as possible so you have an idea how big your event's going to be, how much food you should buy, what contests are going to be popular. So you give early registration incentives. We do free soda and a free piece of pizza if you register before this date. We've also done
reduced prices for pre-registration.
Yes, reduced prices for pre-registration. If you came to our last event, here's a $2 off promo code you can enter. So things like that get people to sign up earlier. Staffing. Staffing is very important. You cannot do this. You should not do this event alone. I won't say you can't because some people are crazy. Registration. So you need someone at your registration table or wherever registration is, and they need to be there whenever people can register. Ushering. This is our friend. People
Friend or
will
bouncer.
both. People will not be able to find their seats. It is A1. It's the very first seat in the first row. They're labeled on the table. Where? There's one room. Look in there. Okay. People need to find their seats. Concessions.
People need to eat, and you now have a captive group.
Let's see. So you need people at concessions anytime concessions open. This happens to be 10 feet behind here, so when that's closed, they go here to check in. We just put a sign on the table, go to concessions. Server admins. I had to put a picture of me on here somewhere. You need people sitting at those servers, typing away and making sure that people aren't doing crazy things and that your world servers are online, your contest servers are online. You need server admins. And tech support. This is actually a picture from our event. We had 6 people staring over one computer. It will happen. People don't know how to connect to networks. People have their Wi-Fi turned on and get confused. So you need someone or people. Huh?
They come with Windows 8.
They come with Windows 8. Okay. So you will need people doing all of these different jobs, maybe not at the same time, but when the event opens, I'm there, someone's there, we don't open concessions for an hour, that person's needed and that person's needed. So fortunately, I know a lot of people who do things for food, so they help. So we have to give credit to Intel's LAN Fest, which is kind of why I asked, because we went to their event in 2011, and that was kind of our, wow, this is really cool, we should do this. Well, that was a dumb thought, but it led to a lot of fun. So their ideas and format really inspired us, and we've used a lot of their information as guidelines on how we structure our event and documents. So we utilized a lot of their website and took really close inspiration on their wording of things. Like the documents we have. So we have a rules document and a waiver document. The rules give general guidelines for the event, what our cheating policy, expected behavior, and no hacking. And it's just generic boilerplate stuff. If you go to our website, which I'll have up at the end, you can go and see our rules and waivers. The waiver covers you in case of liability, talks about the event information. It's a document that every participant signs, so you can say, hey, you said you agree to this, get out of my LAN party, if they're being bad. Attendee expectations, and it also covers what to do in case of minors, because we are not babysitters. Do not leave your children with us. And that just gives... Huh?
Free espresso and a puppy.
Great. Make a record. Okay. Take photos of your event. Have fun. Enjoy it. Photos let you make slideshows like this and get up in front of people. Take video. We haven't done that yet. We've been too hectic. Save the documents. Okay, so people bring you waivers. Make sure you save those somewhere. Mark contests. If you're having contests, take the time to make a sheet or a document on Google Docs that says this contest and lists first, second, and third place. Because when people win your contest, it's important that you track that. And yes, I'm learning this from personal experience. Also, if you take photos of the people who won, make sure you know who's in that photo. It's kind of important. Was this for this contest or that one? Creating a time lapse. You saw my time lapse at the beginning of this event. I love time lapses. So you need a camera that can take pictures at a steady rate. We use a device called an intervalometer to do that. It's basically a remote that takes a picture every 5 seconds automatically. Batteries go dead, so if you can plug your camera in, even better. Storage. You'll be taking about 360 pictures an hour if you're taking one every 10 seconds. I take one every 5 seconds, so that's 8.
More than
a lot. Focus.
720 an hour.
720. Okay. Focus. The camera's focus. Don't leave autofocus on because your video goes like this. Personal experience. If you don't use autofocus, you need to go up to the camera and refocus it at least once throughout your event because people sit down and it's now out of focus because it was focused on the floor at the beginning. Again, personal experience. Okay, backup plans, paper. Alternative events. So if people aren't interested in your contest, what other contests do you have ready? If more players come or fewer players come, how can you structure those contests? Extra prizes, again. If someone does something really awesome, hey, here's a prize for being awesome, thank you, or whatever. Things like that. If you do impromptu contests or tournaments, you have something to give away. Cash. If you have a concession stand and people give you 50s and 20s and you run out of smaller bills, what are you going to do? Where are you going to get the cash from? Where's the nearest bank? Is it open today? Just keep those things in mind. Food, same thing. If you sell out of pizza, what are you going to do? Order pizza? Well, that takes an hour. Where's the closest grocery store? Who's going to go? Who's going to pay for it? Just those are things to keep in mind. Staffing. Don't let a pregnant person sign up to be your concessions person for the day if they're close to their delivery date.
Personal experience?
Maybe. So make sure you have extra staffing for extra things. Your staff may want to play your games, so make sure you have enough to rotate in. A UPS unit, so the uninterruptible power supply, battery backup, saved our butts when the power went out and I had time to shut my servers down. Some games don't like that. The players aren't so important. Don't worry about them. It's your servers you care about, because if something gets corrupt or anything, now you've got, that's just time you don't need to be spending fixing things. Generators, okay. You don't need them with you at the event most of the time, but we had a power outage 10 minutes before we opened, and fortunately, we were able to scrounge up 4 generators. Jeff right there is one of our generator providers. And you can see him in the picture. We had, so 10 minutes before the event opened, I'll tell the story real quick. Power went out. People were still showing up, paying for registration, checking in. It's like, the power's out. I don't know what I'm going to do with you people. Because we were planning a 21-hour LAN party. People were showing up. We've got food, we've got prizes, we've got servers, and we paid for the building rental. So if the power doesn't come back on, I have to turn all these people away, and I'm out all of this money for food, rental, and prizes. So what are we going to do? Well, a couple people said, hey, I've got a generator. So we called some other people. We got 4 generators. These 4 generators, one in the front to run the servers in the admin area, and we have 3 in the back with all the extension cords. Long extension cords are your friend. And this is why you don't leave the coils of the cord near the players. You leave the coils by the power source. That way you can move them easily. So we ran them all out the window real quick to the generator. Well, in an hour, we had the event up and running. It was pretty awesome. So just know where you can get certain things.
That's straight up data center level. Like,
this event is happening. Power came back on 2 hours later, fortunately. But we ran for 2 hours. It offset our contest schedule. We actually didn't hold one of the contests, and we recovered. But that was really interesting. That was in November, on November 2nd, a few months ago. Opportunities. Okay, so we're almost there, guys. What opportunities has this opened? So a local brewery actually emailed us after our last LAN party, and they're like, hey, you guys did a cool thing. Would you come to our brewery and do that?
We're looking for opportunities to pack the house.
It gives us a place to go hang out. So we take over their loft once a month, and we hold an event as our group there. So that's kind of cool. We don't get free food or anything yet, maybe. You never know.
But you get the venue free.
But we get a free venue once a month. It's only for 3 hours, but it's still fun. Come play. We bring a Switch. We hook up a little small network and use their internet. The Pro Battle League. battleleague.com. I don't know. They reached out to us. They actually came to our last event. They're a group trying to get esports going, and they're actually really serious about it, which is kind of cool to see people taking that seriously. So they've been working with us. How does this help? It gives us contacts if we're trying to get prize donations or do marketing. It's just resources, and it's kind of neat to be involved with this group and help a little bit, and community support. So our current LAN party that we're planning, May 17th, is all of the door ticket income is to benefit the tech program at our local high school. So that is great because 1, we're giving back to the community. 2, we don't have to pay for the venue because they donated that for the community support. Prizes are probably easier to get donated. I think we're getting some prizes donated for this one because that's going back into the community. And it's just great to help the community. So those are some opportunities that have come from this. We weren't looking to do any of this, but they popped up. It's kind of cool. And wrap up. So we talked about a lot. I did not know there was this much to talk about LAN parties. My original write-up was, oh, well, I can probably talk for 30 minutes or so. So thank you for sitting here. So we talked about kind of the framework, the tech requirements. We talked about the party, some of the considerations of the actual event itself. We did some other thoughts, backup plans, marketing, making a record, things of that nature. So are there any questions that anyone has that I know I glossed over a lot? Yes.
And this is, do you have to worry about being a business, paying any taxes? Should I not do that?
Probably.
Oh, okay.
Probably. Yes, you do. So make sure that any income you are making off these things. We haven't turned a profit. We've broken, actually the first one broke even. The second one was not profitable. You live and learn. So I think we're okay until we start making money.
If I recall correctly, as long as you don't make more than $500 in a tax quarter, I believe.
Not
okay.
a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem at all.
That'd be nice.
Right.
That'd be nice, but
we are looking into our MWRL Guild. We do want to actually make that a nonprofit organization. It's a club for gamers, really, a user group type thing. So we've been in talks about formalizing that, and we've held 2 events 6 months apart, and we're doing a third one another 6 months apart. So now that we're doing something that actually has money streams other than just going camping once a year with 8 people, we might actually formalize our group. So that's kind of that. Yeah.
In some jurisdictions, if you want to get in on that $500 a quarter or below is exempt, you have to file financials with them at the beginning of the year showing that you're making less than $500 a quarter.
All right. It will cost me $500 to file the $500
it's a
deficit.
form and a couple of photocopies.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for coming. Sorry to keep you from lunch. This is my contact information, our group's contact information. Feel free to reach out to me. I talk a lot, so sometimes. And be happy to help. Other than that, have fun and enjoy your lunch and win some Raspberry Pis.
Thank you.